Wolfgang Mozart, composer, pianist, 1756-1791. A prolific artist, Austrian composer Wolfgang Mozart created a century of operas, concertos, symphonies and sonatas that profoundly shaped classical music. Born on January 27, 1755, in Salzburg, Austria, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was a musician capable of playing multiple instruments who started playing in public at the age of 6. Over the years, Mozart aligned himself with a variety of European venues and patrons, composing hundreds of works that included sonatas, symphonies, masses, chamber music, concertos and operas, marked by vivid emotion and sophisticated textures. Early life. Central Europe in the mid-18th century was going through a period of transition. The remains of the Holy Roman Empire had divided into small semi-self-governing principalities. The result was competing rivals between these municipalities for identity and recognition. Political leadership of small states like Salzburg, Vienna, and Prague was in the hands of the aristocracy, and their wealth would commission artists and musicians to amuse, inspire, and entertain. The music of the Renaissance and Baroque periods was transitions toward more full-bodied composition with complex instrumentation. The small state of Salzburg would be the birthplace of one of the most talented and produced musical composers of all time. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was the sole surviving son of Leopold and Maria Perlt Mozart. Leopold was a successful composer, violinist, and assistant concert master at the Salzburg court. Wolfgang's mother, Anna Maria Pertl, was born to a middle-class family of local community leaders. His only sister was Maria Anna, nicknamed Nenari. With their father's encouragement and guidance, they both were introduced to music at an early age. Leopold started nearly on keyboard when she was 7. As 3-year-old, Wolfgang looked on. Mimicking her playing, Wolfgang quickly began to show a strong understanding of chords, tonality, and tempo. Soon, he too was being tutored by his father. Leopold was a devoted and task-oriented teacher to both his children. He made the lessons fun, but also insisted on a strong work ethic and perfection. Fortunately, both children excelled well in these areas. Recognizing their special talents, Leopold devoted much of his time to their education in music, as well as other subjects. Wolfgang soon showed signs of excelling beyond his father's teachings with an early compositions at age 5 and demonstration outside ability on harpsichord and the violin. He will soon go on to play piano and organ and viola. In 1762, Wolfgang's father took Nannerl, now age 11, and Wolfgang, age 6, to the court of Bavaria in Munich in what was to time become the first of several European tours. The siblings traveled to the courts of Paris, London, The Hague, and Zurich performing as child prodigies. Wolfgang met a number of accomplished musicians and became familiar with their works. Particularly important was his meeting with John Christian Bach in London, who had a strong influence on Wolfgang. The trips were long and often arduous, traveling in primitive conditions and waiting for invasions and reimbursements from the nobility. Frequently, Wolfgang and other members of his family fell seriously ill and had to limit their performance schedule. In December 1769, Wolfgang, then aged 13, and his father departed from Salzburg for Italy, leaving his mother and sister at home. It seems that by this time, Nere's professional music career was over. She was nearing marriageable age, and according to custom of the time, she was no longer permitted to show her artistic talent in public. The Italian outing was longer than the others, 1769, 1771, as Leopold wanted to display his son's abilities as a performer and composer to as many new audiences as possible. While in Rome, Wolfgang heard Gregorio Eller's Miserere performed once in the Sistine Chapel. He wrote out the entire score from memory. Returning only to correct a few minor errors. During this time, Wolfgang also wrote a new opera, Mithridate Re Ponto, for the court of Milan. Other compositions followed in subsequent trips to Italy. Wolfgang wrote two other operas, A Seconda in Alba, 1771, and Ulysses Silsa, 1772. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and his father returned their last stay in Italy in March 1773. His father's benefactor, Archbishop von Schratbeck, had died and was succeeded by Hieronymus von Colorado. Upon their return, the new Archbishop appointed young Mozart as assistant concertmaster with a small salary. During this time, young Mozart had the opportunity to work in several different musical genres, composing symphonies, string quartets, sonatas and serenatas, and a few operas. He developed a passion for violin concertos, producing what came to be the only why he wrote. In 1776, he turned his efforts toward piano concerts, culminating in the Piano Concerto No. 9 in a E-flat measure in early 1777. Wolfgang had just turned 21. Despite his success with the compositions, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was growing discontent with his position as assistant concertmaster and the confining environment of Salzburg. He was ambitious and believed he could do more somewhere else. Archbishop von Colorado was becoming impatient with the young genius complaining and immature attitude. In August 1777, Mozart set put on a trip to find more prosperous employment. The Archbishop wouldn't give Leopold permission to travel, so Anna Maria accompanied Wolfgang on his guest to the cities of Mannheim, Paris, and Munich. There were several employment positions that initially proved promising, but all eventually fell through. He began to run out of funds and had to spawn several valuable personal items to pay traveling and living expense. The lowest point of the trip was when his mother fell ill and died only 1778. After hearing the news of his wife's death, Leopold negotiated a better post for his son as court organist in Salzburg, and Wolfgang returned soon after. Back in Salzburg in 1779, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart produced a series of church works, including the Coronation Mass. He also composed another opera for Munich, Eudaimonia, in 1781. In March of that year, Mozart was summoned to Vienna by Archbishop von Colorado, who was attending the accession of Joseph II, the Austrian throne. The Archbishop's cool reception toward Mozart offended him. He was treated as a mere servant, quartered with the help, and forbidden from performing before the emperor for a fee equal to half his yearly salary in Salzburg. A quarrel ensued and Mozart offered to resign his post. The archduke refused at first, but then relented with an abrupt dismissal and physical removal from the officer's presence. Mozart decided to settle in Vienna as a freelance farmer and composer, and for a time lived with friends at the home of Fridolin Weber. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart quickly found work in Vienna, taking on pupils, writing music for publication, and playing in several concerts. He also began writing an opera, Die Einführung aus dem Serial. In the summer of 1781, it was rumored that Mozart was contemplating marriage to Fridolin Weber's daughter, Constance. Knowing his father would disapprove of the marriage and the interruption in his career, young Mozart quickly wrote his father denying any idea of marriage. But by December, he was asking for his father's blessing. While it's known that Leopold sought, what's known now is the discussion between father and son, as Leopold's letters were said to be destroyed by contents.